Thank you very much, first of all, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch my talk, as the title suggests on the page, about how to end or how we can help end stop-start exercise behaviors. A little bit about me first, if you're wondering who I am. My name is Ben Johnson. I am a local gym owner and PT. I've been in the industry for 15 years now, in the health and fitness industry. And over that time, I've felt like the industry has gone very focused into one direction and it's sort of lost health. And over the past 5 years, especially, I am a certified mental health and exercise coach, which helps people delve into the clear link between the physical and mental health benefits of exercise, but also what we're going to touch on about how we can make and create and foster a better relationship with exercise through focusing on the mental health side of things. So I tend to help people in our gym. I've had a gym for the past 6 years in Gateshead in the Northeast, and the majority of people who we help are people who have children, people who have busy careers, people who are carers and are juggling a lot of things with their life. And sometimes their health and their fitness can go on the back burner. They're going to be the first thing that is dropped when things go a little bit pear-shaped in their life. And the reason that I'm speaking today is this aim. I want to help you watching this create much deeper, much more purposeful, much more meaningful, and more consistent motives to working out and exercising. First of all, before we get into that aim, where do we need to start? We need to have a look at the common problem. What's the common problem when it comes to exercise? It's this stop start behavior. Now, why is a stop start behavior around exercise actually a problem? Because alongside things like therapy, things like other health habits, things like medication as well, if that's a requirement, exercise is such a powerful tool to support our mental well-being, our overall health, and our overall happiness. So if we have a stop-start pattern, we have a stop-start tool rather than a consistent one that is going to support our overall health, our overall happiness, and our overall well-being. Want to look into some common reasons for these stop-start behaviors when it comes to exercise and it comes to workouts. And there's a lot of these reasons, but I'm just going to focus on one in particular, and I'm going to touch on another couple as well, as you can see on this slide. So you might be able to relate to these when I'm talking through them, but if I was to ask a lot of people who I've coached in the past, and I've coached over hundreds of people over the past 15 years, a lot of the common problems and reasons for that usually stem from things like time management, the method itself of the exercise, and the workouts that are being prescribed, and things like boredom. But a lot of these things, these other factors, for me, from my experience of working with so many people, stem and are the root cause of lacking motivation or motives being in the wrong place. And sometimes in the past, this might have been put under the umbrella, the bracket of being lazy, for instance. So I'm going to touch on how I feel like that is completely false and where problems have arisen and what we're going to do to try and overcome these going forwards. Whilst you're sitting here watching this, I just wanted to ask you if you can relate to this very common struggle. Now, this cycle that I've created here is something called the extrinsic motivation cycle. So being motivated just solely by extrinsic factors, things outside of our internal. So whilst I'm talking through this, let me know if you can relate to this, because hands up, I was definitely guilty for this cycle for my late teens and my early 20s as well. So what happens is when it comes to motivation to make changes with our health behaviors through exercise and workouts, a lot of this is triggered by, number one, somebody's transformation photo that we see on social media or in the media or on the news. And it could be the fact that you've got an upcoming celebration. It might be that you have external pressure from friends or family members, or even just societal norms to look a certain way. So this trigger creates this surge of motivation to make a big change. It then pushes us into number two to seek a quick fix. Pushing us into number three, we go 0 to 100 million miles an hour with our exercise behaviors, our workout behaviors, and even our nutrition behaviors. Although I could talk about nutrition in a completely different webinar itself. We're going to focus more so on the exercise side of things. So go 0 to 100 million miles an hour, make huge changes, and have a really rigid plan. In the short term, an aesthetic goal, and when I say aesthetic goal, this is a shape change, weight loss, a certain dress size, a certain shirt size, suit size. That aesthetic goal might be achieved short term, how you look, number on the scales. But in the process of that short term aesthetic goal being achieved, number five, it's highly likely that you might be sitting there thinking, I was burnt out. I got injured. I felt bored with the process. I felt really, really restricted and I wasn't able to enjoy other areas of my life. And I felt like I had to either be on it or off it. And other things had to go that were very valuable for my life. But because I was solely focused on this rigid plan, being 100 million miles an hour, my exercise, it was just unsustainable. And then what happens after that? Number six, the exercise behaviors, the workout behaviors, they stop altogether, they go out the window. This was me. It might be you now. It might be you in the past. It might be bringing up awareness. It might be some light bulbs going off. And what happens with this vicious cycle? Every time we go through it, we lose our confidence in ourselves and our own abilities to be able to make a healthy lifestyle change with exercise behaviors as a consistent pattern in our lives. So every time we think about doing this, it gets harder. And we start to think, what's the point? Because I know I'm going to keep this going within 6 weeks, 3 months down the line. You know, a lot of these programs that push us into this to achieve an aesthetic goal are 6 weeks, 8 weeks maximum. Each time we fail because we end up going backwards, stopping altogether, it lowers our self-worth, it lowers our confidence. So the question, reason for our stop-start exercise behaviors. For me, from my experience, a lot of people that I've helped, a lot of this boils down to the fact that the motives and the focus to exercise were in the wrong place originally. The reasons behind the thing that's getting us going, the why, the motives, were in the wrong place. Just want to share a little bit of a comparison. Talking about the extrinsic motivation cycle. If we look at motives and motivations to be able to exercise and work out consistently, on the left side, I'm just showing you there the reasons to just look good as an extrinsic motivation. Look at the comparison of the list. If we now start to focus on and flip our thinking to try and think about intrinsic motives and motivations from a physical point of view, every one of your bodily systems, your immune system, your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, your strength, your mobility, your flexibility, all of these systems, your digestive system, I haven't even put that on there, they'll be improved. From a mental side of things, mental improvements. Exercise can help you build resilience, discipline, improve your self-worth, improve your focus and productivity, can improve your confidence, stepping out of comfort zones. It can help you manage stress levels. It can help you manage energy. If you expend a little bit of energy, it creates a lot of energy. Exercise is scientifically proven to help reduce anxiety and depression at a clinical and non-clinical level. We're all going to feel feelings of anxiousness and low mood that might not have gotten to the level of a mental illness. We all have mental health, by the way, all of us. And that's going to fluctuate from good to poor every day in and out. Before I did this, I was trying to get the kids to do a task that would keep them quiet. I was quite stressed. Form of poor mental health that we all feel. Now I'm in doing something that I know is purposeful and that is going to be beneficial. I'm feeling productive. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling happy and joy, knowing that this is going to help support a lot of people. Positive mental health. So our mental health is going to change constantly all the time. And exercise can help us try and promote more positive mental health throughout the day. And when I'm talking about these motivations, actually first, let me speak a little bit about the research, and I'm going to make that point. I'm a little bit of a science geek, so I've got a couple of slides that are just about some research that's linked to this. I'm not going to go too much in depth, but research. Exercise is often promoted as a way to change appearance rather than for health, well-being, and fun. Another piece of research. Exercising solely for aesthetic-based reasons. So remember, aesthetic-based reasons, change in shape, losing weight, etc. Number on the scales. So exercising for those reasons and experiencing guilt if exercise is missed is associated with disordered exercise behaviors and a reduced quality of life. So disordered exercise behaviors are stop-start cycles. The motives around just exercising to potentially change the way that you look is actually having a negative impact on our quality of life, and it's fueling this stop-start cycle that we've touched on. And a really shocking stat that I'm going to end on in terms of the research that I want to share, 13% of the population only say that they regularly exercise. So that's either 87% of people are either not exercising at all or are inconsistently exercising. They haven't got consistent patterns. And these are very similar across the USA and Europe as well. So is this cycle and our motives being in the wrong place just purely about the extrinsic, how we look, the potential to change shape? Is this linked to all of this research? I would definitely say yes. And if you can relate to this, guilty myself in the past, it's not all your fault. This actual cycle is a brilliant marketing ploy from a lot of fitness professionals in the industry. Short-term fixes, quick fixes, get summer body ready, little black dress challenge, get into your Christmas suit, all of these things, get summer body ready. In 6 weeks, in 8 weeks, in 12 weeks. It's fueling this cycle, and it fuels people to keep coming back to try and think there's going to be this magic quick fix that's going to make them feel better. Because society, the health and fitness industry on a whole, is trying to promote that looking a certain way is going to make you feel happier and it's going to make you healthier, when in fact that is a lie. It's not true. We all know that exercise is good for our mental health. But a lot of people are probably jumping on this bandwagon within the industry. A lot of people who are promoting these cycles as well. The 6 week, 8 week, 12 week transformation cycles. Come along and get shredded. Oh, by the way, also, it's going to really support your mental health and you're going to feel the best you've ever felt because you're changing your body shape. Not true if it's not consistent. If the motives are still in the wrong place, if the methods are unsustainable, not flexible, then exercise isn't good for our mental health. Not all forms and prescriptions of exercise are going to be good for our mental health long term. We need to make sure that the motives and the methods are complementing our process, our life, not complicating the process, which unfortunately a lot of services, programs, plans are doing. What we need is to say that consistent exercise is what's going to support my short-term and long-term mental health. We need to make that change, that flip. So how can we do that? How can we start looking at changing our motives long term? How can we start building and fostering a much more positive and stronger relationship with exercise so that we can be more consistent and it can provide this consistent tool supporting all of these different areas intrinsically to help us lead a better quality of life? How do we go deeper? How do we create more meaningful motives? Well, let's do this together. You've all had a handout, or you'll have a handout that can be accessed alongside of this video. And I'd like you to grab that now. And throughout doing this, I'm going to explain what the task is. And what I'd like you to do is just pause this video as you go through it and then restart when you're ready to go on. So we're going to look at what's something called the values star. If anybody's done any work on your values, you're going to have a little bit of a step ahead here. You might know your values well. If you've never done anything to do with your values, that's absolutely fine. This is going to help you gain some clarity about you. I like to call this point, this type of reflection, getting to know you, because it's one of the most important things that we can do throughout so many different areas of our lives. And we can tie this into exercise. And I'm going to show you across the next few slides and with these tasks how powerful it can be to help you end these stop-start cycles. So for the first task, what I'd like you to do is, and I'm going to share my example before you do this, I'm going to share some values on the next slide, and I want you to pick a maximum of 6 that applies to you, and I want you to write them along each side of the lines that's going from the middle of the star out to the point. You'll notice as well on that star, in the middle we've got a 0, and then on the outside of the point it's a 10. What I'd like you to do once you've wrote down your values between 1 to 6 along each line, I want you to try and mark yourself and score yourself out of 10, how in line you're living with those values. 10 being in line all the time, 0 being not in line at all. I'm going to come back to that slide with all the different examples. I just first want to give you an example of mine, just so you've got an idea of what I mean if you're a little bit confused about the task at hand. So reflection, my values, things that are important, purposeful, and really valuable to me that are consistent throughout my life. Adventure, family, autonomy, service, health, and fun. So I've wrote those on the lines going out to the point of the star. And then for each one, I've done a little blue star there. I've marked out of 10. So adventure, 6 out of 10. Family, 9 out of 10. Autonomy, 8 out of 10. Service, 7 out of 10. Health, 7 out of 10. Fun, 7 out of 10. How in line I'm living with those right now. When you're doing these, you might find that some of the things that you've just thought about that are very, very valuable to you, you aren't living in line with them at all. That's absolutely fine. Don't beat yourself up about it. I'd say a lot of people who start with me in my coaching feel very, very similar. They've got stuck in a rut with a certain way of life, and it's pulled them away from what they wanted their life to look like. So I'm going to go back to this slide. I'm going to leave it on here, and I'd like you to pause this video and think about those 6 values, or maximum 6 values. Just to let you know, this list isn't exhausted. For instance, health isn't on this list. You might have certain ones that you feel are more important that aren't here. Pause this video. Once you've done and you've marked yourself score out of 10, we'll continue on, which is what I'm going to do now. So you've done that. You've got your 6 values. You've scored yourself out of 10. Now you've got some clarity on things that are valuable, meaningful, and purposeful to your lives. If you've not done anything like that, or you haven't done it for a long time, I'm absolutely buzzing for you, because it's probably going to make some huge changes in your life. I'd recommend that you put that somewhere that you see every day. And it's just going to give you that little reminder. It's going to keep it at the forefront of your head that you can be a bit more conscious and purposeful around trying to live in line with those values in the decisions that you make every single day. So this is where we're going to start linking things to exercise and trying to help ending these stop-start behaviors with exercise. So the second part of your task, you'll see this on the other side of your sheet. Yes, on the other half of your handout sheet. We're going to look at your exercise and workout choices. So as part of your second part of this task, what I'd like you to do is write down all of your current or desired forms of exercise and workout. I'm going to explain this with my example in a bit more depth soon. So write down any types of exercise that you're doing, whether it's, running, cycling, strength training, outdoor swimming, dance class, bowls, any form of exercise, and hill walking. Write them all down. Make a list. If there's not much there at the minute, start thinking about what you'd like to see in your life consistently when it comes to exercise. It might be forms that you've enjoyed in the past, or it might be something that you're thinking about doing that you want to start as well. When you've got that list written down, what we're going to do is we're going to look at your values star, and then I want you to write down a sentence about why each type of form of these movements, exercise, workouts, are important to help you to live in line with your values. Before you start this task and pause this video, I'm going to give you my example. So bear with me a little bit here. So I'm going to share the different types of exercise that I have consistently and how that is important and how it helps me live in line with my values. So strength training probably a couple of times a week, maybe twice a week, sometimes 3, between 30 to 45 minutes each time. Good strength training allows me to enjoy more adventures and fun without physical limitations. I can also pick up my kids and have fun with them when they're learning new skills like gymnastics. My 2 girls absolutely love gymnastics. Running. Maybe run once a week. If I'm training for a specific event, I might do twice a week. But running keeps my cardio fitness to a level where I can explore new places when traveling by just being able to put my shoes on and going for a run. So that's adventure. And then running helps me focus, and it helps my productivity to help serve others. So my value of service there. Last slide before you get to do this yourself. Yoga. A stretch at the end of each strength workout. So again, between 2 or 3 times a week, max 10, 15 minutes. But yoga keeps me mobile so that I can move well with the kids pain free. Family is a big value of mine. It also helps my joints so that I can run and do strength training, which then has a whole host of impacts on other values as well. So yoga is quite pivotal. Paddle tennis. Don't know whether it's going to be a bit of a fad for me, but it's a fun new activity that I'm absolutely loving for the last year. It challenges me to learn new skills and tactics. It's also a great way to meet new people and socialize. So it's fun and it's adventure, and it's also improved my health as well. And then hiking. It's an adventurous activity that I can do with the family. Being in the outdoors improves my mood, adventure, health, and in turn, this allows me to serve others better. Service. So those 5 different types of workouts or exercise: strength training, running, yoga, paddle tennis, hiking, things that I try and get consistently. Hiking's probably maybe once a month, but again, it's still consistent. Doesn't have to be every week. Some of these things, it might be something that you need to think about. That yes, you'll have weekly ones, but it might be something that you need to see in every month. It might be something that you need to see in every quarter, every 3 months. Have a think about some more distant things as well. But look, I've not mentioned once the impact that these different types of workout and exercise could have on potentially changing my body shape, which they probably will indirectly alongside other factors of my life. But that is going to provide me with so much more motive. So what I'd like you to do now is pause this video and do this for yourself. Starting with writing out the exercise types, the forms of workout, etc., that you either do or want to do, and then link them with a sentence that's really clear about how it helps or is going to help you live in line with your values. So pause that now. Once you've done, we'll crack on. So now you've got these links. Again, get these printed out, put them on your phone, put them somewhere when motivation is not as high. Motivation isn't always going to be sky high. People get confused with thinking that people who love exercise, motivation's always going to be up here. It's not true. Everybody's naturally going to have peaks and troughs with motivation. But having these tools, these things that are so much stronger, linking these movements and values, it's going to provide much more rock solid motives that you can dip into and look to. That's going to help just give you that little extra boost and help you with your consistency. When it does this, this is in turn, it's going to lay solid foundations for more consistent exercise behaviors in your life, which is brilliant, which in turn is going to provide consistent habits that support your overall happiness, your overall well-being, both physically, mentally, socially, and your overall health. It's time that we change the script when it comes to exercise, when it comes to health, and when it comes to fitness long term. And again, remember, a lot of this is not your own fault. A lot of this is probably being driven through PTs that you've worked with, boot camps that you've been exposed to, things on social media around the health and fitness industry. The aim of this was to help you to create much deeper, much more purposeful, more meaningful, and more consistent motives to work out and exercise. I hope that these tools that we've got and the things that you're going to implement going forwards are going to help you with this aim. And I'd love to hear about any improvements or any feedback about this webinar, and how you might think it's going to help you moving forwards to end this stop-start exercise behavior. Now, as this is a recording of this talk, feel free to contact me. I'll pop all of the social media details so that you can follow us, send us a hi, let us know what you thought. And if you've got any specific questions around this, please do let me know. And thanks again for watching and listening.